Hey guys, what's up? Alright, it's Double Deuce back. Haven't put a video up in a while. Sorry about that. But today we're going to look at a couple things. First off, I want to show you this little gadget here. It's pretty amazing. We're going to get to that. It's a lead tester to test your leads. I found out something pretty amazing for that thing. And two, we're back on the TOYAN V8 Kyosho monster truck. So I did have a couple of setbacks with it, but it was no fault of the truck or the equipment. It was my own fault. I lost things. I misplaced them. So grab your favorite smoke, beverage, or popcorn and hang out with Double Deuce today. All right. Now, as I was building my stuff, okay, I would buy these extension leads, the wides and all this stuff, the singles. I'd buy them, sometimes 10, 20 at a time, and I always kept them, in my junk boxes, so they were readily available when I needed them. But what I found out was I bought a recent box of, or a bag of 10, and these look like the Tamiya style Futaba, ones are coming to kits, the black, white, and red. And most of you out there will get these like yellow, orange, and brown ones, right? So I know this is a shorter lead, and this is basically an ohms tester. Okay, so when you turn this on, it runs off a 9-volt battery. It's got your instructions in the front here. You just got to scan them. Okay. Now, it's basically a glorified voltmeter, ohm reader, but it gives you real-time readings on all the leads, all three of them at once. And it's funny because when you pick up the wires, or if you squeeze the crimp here where they put them together, it changes. So I was wondering if my glitching problem, okay, it's coming up. Okay, see how they're all open? Now, that means there's nothing plugged in. So we're going to start with the short lead first, and these just plug in, your ground to ground and lead to lead and all that. Just plug them in the correct way. And now what do you have? It's showing readings, okay? But if I move one of these ends here or wiggle them, I'm getting a different reading. This one here actually was a pretty good lead. You'll see it changing just a little bit by me wiggling this thing here. So I'm wondering if my glitching problem is not the ignition systems on these engines. I know it does play a big part into interference. I've seen people put aluminum foil around here. They make aluminum caps to cover it all, to kind of enclose everything so you don't get that interference going to your leads. Okay, now I bought 10 of these leads. Okay, 2 of them were the only ones that didn't fluctuate when I squeezed the crimp. So I don't know, I haven't tore that apart. The other leads that I have are in my SCX6 here, and I'm getting some weird things happening in there, and I was attributing it to interference from the distributor. And I've separated everything, and it starts up and runs perfectly every time. But when I go to take off, it seems like you get the RPMs up, especially in this one here. This one really throws some RPMs really fast. Yeah, you get that glitching going on, So I had a, I don't know, it was an old Tamiya build from, I can't remember what it was now. It was still in the box from seriously 20 years ago. And I had a split lead, and I put that in my SCX6, and it stopped the crazy glinching. So I know for a fact, I've had airplane hobbyists tell me these plugs suck. Just cut them off and solder them directly. Make sure all your leads are clean, soldered, and covered well. You know, and it's kind of one of them things when we have a build, we like it to be serviceable, so we like just to unplug and plug things in. Now I'm second guessing that. I'm kind of wondering if maybe I should solder everything, because there's a lot of vibration, and you know, and anything you can eliminate before it takes off, you know, it'll be a blessing, and you'll not be chasing ghosts down the road on your build. So, so like I say, I'm back on this. Whatever you do when you build a build, make sure you make the battery tray big enough to fit at least a couple of batteries, okay? Because I specifically built this build for this one 11.1 volt battery. It sets in super nice and neat and tight. And when I was going through a bunch of stuff, I've been sorting through my RC stuff little by little, day by day, I misplaced this battery. And so I think it was a couple of weeks ago, my son, he got a new camera. We've been spending a lot of time. He bought a new motorcycle, or an old motorcycle. It is a 77 Suzuki GS 550. And pretty cool bike, rat rod. I'll throw a picture of it in there. So he had bought, or he had a lot of camera stuff because he does a lot of motion camera things. So he had it all planned. We were going to take this out, strap some cameras to it, and just give it a good rip. But I couldn't find the battery. So in the meantime, I had to alter my battery tray in here to open all this up so I could put a bigger battery in it. After I got done with that, as luck would have it, I found the original battery. So now everything fits back in there. So not only have I been spending a lot of time with my son on his motorcycle project there, I have been trying to, I guess, bring my dump truck around. I bought a dump truck back in 10 years ago, I should say. And why I bought it, I don't know, but I knew I needed it for some reason. So anyways, long story short, the homeowners flew drones over and took pictures of my house, and they said that was a liability because it was ugly. So, and it wasn't registered. So I had to register it. And believe it or not, they're insuring that liability now. How silly is that? I dropped off one of my other Silverados, and I put the dump truck on there, so they actually lost money over their little game they tried to play. But it, in a good way, it sparked my interest back in the truck again. And I had made a tilt nose for it, and I will show pictures of the truck, the tilt nose, how it works. It's still in the larva stage. I got my gimpy knee going on here, so I can't do a lot outside. So until that gets taken care of, I'll be able to do more on the truck. So, but anyways, here's some pictures of the truck. And here's the tilt nose. I made it so you don't have to stand on your head to open the hood to get down and say change a fuel pump. You don't have to crawl under the truck. You just flip the nose up and you can get right in there easily. And to older guys like me that have a little bit of a paid off beer belly, you know, it gets in the way. So you need that extra room. You got to eliminate things like sheet metal panels. And so I made it totally serviceable. And I used the uh, they're electronic struts you see on your minivans, all your SUVs now. You just push a button and the back gate comes up all by itself. I had to have one of those, and I put that in there, and it lifts it, but not as fast as I like. So I do have two off a Volkswagen SUV, and I'll be putting them in there. Simple thing. You just wire them up to a window switch. And but it makes your life a lot better, you know, as you get older. So now, like I say, back to this. I will get this dialed in a little bit better now that I'm going to run it without the body for a while. So you might see some videos of this thing just cranking around bare bones without the body. The body I have screwed on with just regular, you know, Phillips sheet metal screws, and I do want to get the it's almost like the Tamaya screw-in studs with the pins. That would make this a lot easier for me. I haven't been able to really get online and shop for that kind of stuff, but I will. So, but anyways, I just wanted to touch base with you guys and let you know I'm still kicking. I appreciate your concern, because I'm getting a lot of messages of, hey, like, where are you? Everything okay? You know, kind of doing a wellness check on me here, and I'm fine. I'm just can't get around, you know, until my knees a little bit better. And yeah, I am missing a good part of the summer and some good run time, but now I'm into tinker time. So I'll take advantage of the tinker time, then I'll go out and do some run time, because the fun of it all is running it, breaking it, and then bringing it back in and fixing it. It's like a vicious circle of fun. And so I haven't quite completed that circle yet. So, but I do still have the V10, and I will be sending that back soon. So I have spent a lot of time on that engine. Yeah, it's very expensive, but it's very powerful and very reliable. I mean, that's all I can say. It's, you know, it is. I'm impressed. They do have the new LS52 out, and I see if you check out Jamie RC Block's channel, and a lot of other guys out there, Peter, you know, everybody's getting their you know, their hands on them now and all that. I didn't get one. I don't know what happened. I had inquired. They were supposed to ask the team. I heard nothing back for months. I've heard nothing from them for a long time. But I don't know. That doesn't mean they forgot me. But I do know they were overloaded with all kinds of shipping and stuff. You know, I did see. I couldn't figure out what was really happening, and then I see now they are on it. They're rectifying a lot of stuff. So have faith in them still. And basically, there's only really two places you can get these engines. You know, don't fall for the online scams, all that stuff. No, go to sterlingkit.com. Sterling Kit with an I, not an E. I. And you'll be able to buy the real thing. And they're expensive. Okay. This one here is, on the most part, in my opinion, it's probably a good hobby grade V8. It starts every time, it runs, it's pretty reliable. They do have some Mickey Mouse rubber O-rings for your water pump belts, but it produces plenty of power for an RC car. I mean, this is a four-wheel drive, you know, and it starts up, it runs on two-stroke gas, you know, oil mix, so you don't have to have an oiling system. So if you flip it over, it's like dumping your dirt bike or dropping your weed whacker. It doesn't matter. So, but like I say, I'm still kicking. I appreciate all the support from you guys. One thing I did want to add, you will not see any AI crap on my channel. None. Okay, because to me that is just clickbait. It's just, to me, it's just wrong. You know, AI has a good point, you know, for research and stuff, but even that can be screwed up. my son has experimented with some of the AIs and stuff, and now I do see there are people out there who are little teams of people that are feeding incorrect information into these large websites where AI picks the facts from. And so you'll see a picture of a Chevelle that looks like a Rambler on Facebook on a video. I just seen one recently, and I was like, this is ridiculous. And then you'll see a picture of a Ford Galaxy that looks like an Impala, and you know, the features are just all screwed up. So it's not there yet. That's why I chose not to have any of that on this channel. If I get zapped, you know, with an ignition system, it's going to be live. It's not going to be AI. If I cut myself, you know, if I blow something up, it's going to be live. It will not be AI. So, anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in today. I just wanted to get this out and let everybody know that I still think about you guys. You're my family. And like, share, subscribe if you want. Love to all, and I'll catch you later.